Top of the morning, you guys. Hey, listen, we were talking about talking about Luke recently, alright, and how I was hoping that whenever I went into, the number 5, that I would get references to, like, trees, and about us being a sacrifice and stuff like that. Doesn't wind up being that way. It looks as though what happens is they're playing with the number 2, which is God's creation, that has both the what you see and what you don't see in it, which is the physical side of us and our spiritual side. And what they've got, they were using them as ships. So what it starts off with Jesus coming to this shore, or to this beach. Now remember, when he's walking on the beach, when he's beside the river or beside the seashore, they're already at this 6th chakra, and he's in this place where, let's gather everyone together. Here, let's he enters into Simon's boat, right? And of course what they're saying is that he sees 2 boats standing on the shoreline. And so that basically means that someone is in some kind of, in meditation. That's what it means to be standing. And the fact that Jesus sees 2 people is not funny at all. The idea that he's looking at you. And he goes into Simon's boat. And of course, they're saying that, the occupants are gone because they're out cleaning their nets. And their nets is this whole idea behind going into meditation, because this is how you're going to go and scoop all these people up, because that's what he's done. He wants you to go out there and drag a net out there. It's a sweeping situation. They call it drought. So that but we've been at this all night long and we never caught anything. But it's your command that we'll go out there and we'll drop the net, And of course, that's the whole idea. When we all join up on the shoreline and all the the people and the throngs are coming along, this is everyone's gathering together, and generally after he teaches them and preaches to them, it's time to eat. It's time to break bread. That's the whole idea, because, we're all going to get fed, and that's the whole point of going inside of us, is to get fed some fish, which is the truth. So you'll see that, he beckons these guys to take their boat out into the water just a little ways and drop the net. And of course, Simon's boat's filling up, to the point of, oh my God, it's going to sink. So they call over to the second side, or the other side, the partner, the neighbor. Ask them for their help. Once you gather up, come over here and help us out. Fill that net up too. That's the whole concept of going in, and it's the truth is taking over both sides of the boat. Just like with Noah. Noah gets himself inside the boat, pitches it inside and out. This is the idea of being dark, because the pineal gland doesn't work unless it's dark. And at the same time, it's shh, don't tell anybody, it's the quiet time. But anyways, when people wind up by the ocean side, by the water side, they're already at that middle point. And because this is Jesus talking to you. Jesus meets us in the air, so it's always going to be like at that 6th point. All right, and and of course, that's just one of the stories in here that has to do with, it's the whole idea of going inside, fishers of men. I'm going to make you fishers of men. It just winds up, the second side of this, or this idea of the skin. There was a man that came in and he had leprosy, and he wanted to get it taken care of. There's a guy that comes in and has palsy, which is another skin problem, or something where he just can't move. And they bring him in through the ceiling to meet Jesus. They brought him in through the tile, and on his bed while he was laying in it. And that's just an interesting story in itself. And they come into a city when they're talking about when they come into a certain city, and this city, it's got all these people in it, and they want to come in and get fixed. This is him. He's going from place to place, and he's healing people from spot to spot. This is him going from different places in your body. This is this energy going from, don't hold me back, don't hold me, I got other cities to deal with, and this is working with the skin, all right? And let's see, what else do we have inside of here? So, whenever it comes down to it, I didn't want to go through the whole thing. I don't want to go over and over and over everything. But you'll see that when he's always having some kind of a quabble with the Pharisees. And these Pharisees are going to be representing the king and the queen. It also represents, it represents religion. How come how come you're feeding all the time, and you don't wash your hands and stuff like that. They're always on their ass. And of course they'll be the reason later on why they kill him, going out and making fun of these people at every chance that he gets. And he says, well, why do you guys do this? You guys don't honor your mother and father. You guys aren't washing yourself up after the meals and stuff like that. So it's the idea that there's this tug of war between good and evil. And of course, the religion is trying to gain control over the human being, and Jesus is here to help set these human beings free from that kind of control. Alright, he's trying to blot out this disease that once you acquire it, you become sick. Alright? You don't want to believe that. Of course you don't want to believe it, but you will. Because as soon as you start believing in that Bible like you do, and like I used to do, then anything's possible. You're just one big nut that's ready to be cracked open all the time. And of course, since you've never gone inside and gotten cleaned up, which is what the whole thing is, he says, you can enjoy your life, you can do that, but come home every now and then. Let me clean you out so that you can have a better run with this world around here, with your consciousness. Oh no, the war for your consciousness is on, and those people that choose to, give it up to somebody else, enjoy your poverty, alright? One day, it'll be yours to get out, but someone has to, someone has to go to school all the time, and never get anywhere. I already did all of that. I already went to school for the lunch. I'm paying for things now, and I'm going to get something out of it, So let's see, I'm trying to go and find more things to talk about here on this. But this idea of being a ship, you're the vessel. You are everything. It's all inside of you. I'm having conversations with people saying, a female energy is not this energy or that. Listen, this is what I have learned from our Bible is that, the female energy of this here is really, it is the thing. It is the thing. It's the shit, Without it, nothing can happen, Nothing positive, You skip her, you're this biblical homo, alright? It just means that you got no God in you, and you're just working off the lower mind, This idea of glorifying God, he's not looking to be glorified, he's wanting to be remembered so that he can glorify you, alright? Oh yeah, and you don't run around acting like no God or anything like that. It's just stupid. You just have a higher mind, and you don't act as nutty, There's no dogma. There's on this side of the instructions, it doesn't say that you have to be a good boy and a good girl in order to maintain this. It doesn't say that. But, if you're a rotten person, you're probably never going to make it this way anyway. Heaven will be safe from you. It's only for those people that are looking for it. He says, I don't go to places that are, hey, he says, where you go and hang out with all of these sinners in this mind. It's just that the people that are not connected. He says, well, hey, I come to them. They're the ones that are sick, not the righteous, and the rich. The rich don't seem to have any trouble with have any problems. So they won't have this strife. They won't be able to perhaps go up here because, there's nothing really making them come to a point where, like in the St. Christopher story, he wanted to serve God so bad. He had all the strength in him, and God just not going to have him until he ran out of his strength and came hollering at him, save me God, save me Lord. So it doesn't come to you until you're ready for it. Even if you think you're ready for it now, I've been ready for it. I've been going through the times. I've been down on the ground. I smell, and it's so close to the ground, I can taste the dirt. You can smell the death and everything. You can. So it's really going to be open for those people that are actually looking for it. And of course, he comes to people that are poor. Poor means they don't have the connection. He comes to people who are sick. These people that don't know how to get it. He comes to people that who have leprosy, which is a skin problem. They haven't been able to go someplace and clean up. There's no real physician out there to take care of what winds up on your skin. And of course, you also have the blood problem. What happens when your spiritual side is gone, or has been abused in such a way? You're a widow now. She's dead. You're dead on the inside. All right. All of these things. So I came here to take care of this and the shut-ins and all of this is talking about what's going on inside of you. It's not you going to a prison and stuff like that. But I mentioned that the other day, that the top story is talking about getting away from prisons. Even Moses starts off by killing someone, and he has to run away to keep. He's a murderer in the beginning of the story. And he's trying to get away from this place. He's going to be hunted down. Your people being sought after, and so how do you escape this? Outside of just dying, and that's the way they got it set up, so that you have to live with your life and your troubles and all of your garbage and stuff like that all your life, so that when you die, you may or may not go to heaven. But I'm telling you, there's no place for you to go there, especially if you've never conditioned your mind to make it to this place. You're just not going to make it, all right? And when you're dead, you ain't got you don't have the capacity to visit this heaven, because the heaven is in our brains. And so, it tells you, hey, you guys, this idea of venerating and taking it, loving the temple, what about the gold in the temple? They say that's the most important part. Well, they come right out. God comes out and tells you, no, that's silly. He says, without you, I wouldn't exist. So it's the temple that's important. It's you. You are important. You're mine. God does not exist unless you bring him to life. And basically, if you don't bring him to life, he still exists. It's still there. It's all there. It just was never tapped into. All right. So in these stories, what you're going to hear, you're going to have all these ideas. They're all going to be by the waterside. They're all going to be coming, especially when it's Jesus, because Jesus is going to represent, this connection already going on. It's like he's connected inside and outside. But of course, you follow the stories. He's going in a boat. He's coming out of a boat, and then of course later on, he's going into their house. And when they go into your house, he's coming into your mind. Because what they're doing, they come into Simon's house, and he found that, his wife and his daughter or this and this, this is going into your mind. There are many houses in my Father's kingdom. And so what they're talking about is in each one of this, the signs of the zodiac is the house, and that represents a person. I'm an Aries. I have an Aries. I'm a house. My house. All right. My vessel. I'm a vessel. And the idea of the tabernacle being with man. We've already gone through that. Earlier this year. That's the lower mind. And the higher mind is the tabernacle. And to actually, if you want to put it down to the place, this mercy seat and stuff like that, winds up being the fornix of the brain. All right? And there's this little electric cord, something like electric, I'd call it that, but from the pineal gland, when this pineal gland is opened and brought to life, when it starts to come alive, there's this skinny little line called the stria pinealis, a skinny little, and it's connected to the fornix of the brain. This is where the cave is. This is that little building. It's usually set there right beside the ocean where Jesus is talking. So he wants to get into the boat, push out just a little bit, and talk to everyone. So let's gather together. Let's gather us together. Let's have a feast when we're done with all of this, And so it's basically what we're doing. And of course, they tell you that, in everyone of that country, everyone around in that country where he was visiting at that moment, brought all the sick and the lepers and the blind, and they brought them all so that they could be touched by Jesus and be healed. Okay? Touched by that energy. All right? And then Jesus will tell you later on that of his own self he can't do it. He does it through his Father, and his whole idea is going in, and he takes you to the Father, and the Father, this electrical connection, takes care of everything. All right? And it also, the last groups on here, it talks about, it has the parable. It's the parable of the wine and the wineskin. Now, that's how I know this. There's something weird about this particular part of the text, because it uses the word bottle. Now, they very well could have used the word bottle way back then when it came down to putting wine in bottles. It's a little tricky in this situation because, unless you'd heard of this Mandela effect, and if you didn't know particular scriptures by heart, or by saying, you'd never know this. But you maybe could scratch your head on it, because in this one here it says, no one puts new clothing on top of old clothing. They'll get rid of the old and they'll put on the new. No one puts old wine in new wine into old wine bottles for the old, but because it might burst. It will. Let me see if I can't get this correct. All right, we're going to show you what it means. This is Luke chapter 5, verse 36, starting at verse 36, which is a 9. Okay? And he spake also a parable to them. No man putteth a piece of a new garment upon an old. If otherwise, then both the new maketh a rent, and the piece that was taken out of the new agreeth not with the old. All right, so this is the new you. The old Jew isn't supposed to be here at this time. This is this 9 that you've been changed over. This is you. This is the new conscious, the new you, and this is the new. So they're telling you that the way it works is that you're both new, both sides. The wine, which is your spirit, and the wine skin, which is your body. And of course, what they're calling it in this place is a bottle. And they're saying that the bottle would burst. Here, because we have to keep going. It's only the last 3. Number 37. And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine will burst the bottles, and be spilled, and the bottle shall perish. Number 38, but new wine must be put into new bottles, and both are preserved. Alright? So, this whole idea of going up there is to be remembered. That's what they used to say in the Old Testament, is God remembered them. And this whole idea of going into being restored, and they're saying, oh, and the New Jerusalem is coming down. They're talking about after this giant, blitzkrieg on your brain and stuff like that, or on earth, whenever the wrath and stuff like's coming in, and they just think that the whole place is going to be miraculously restored by God. Everything's going to go boink, there it is, a whole new Jerusalem, a whole new everything. All right, that's the outside false, that's bullshit. But on the inside, this is what they say, it's a whole new you, and they clean you up inside now. Now, this used to be wine. Wine is what they're talking about, pressing. They're always pressing up against it. They pressed up against Jesus. They're pressing him. This is this idea of going inside. You're pressing. You're getting rid of what's that? You're pressing grapes. The grape, the wrath, the press, the great wrath. Is taking what's on your inside out, letting it free. That's the new wine. All right, because it just got brought brand new again. She represents Lot's wife, the one that turns to salt, right? Isn't that one who makes it all the way up there? Shit, fire. I'm gonna have to write more notes down here. But what happens is in the Sodom and Gomorrah story, whenever they finally make it up there to the, up to the mountain, it's the wife that's turned to salt, and that's a preservative. And of course, he goes and has sex with his two daughters, which is the joining of his new wine. That's really what that is, because this is what you're doing. You're going in to join these two together to make them one. All right. So the idea of putting wine in bottles, if you knew that, we put wine in bottles, it lasts years and years and years and years. The wine does not cause the bottle to break, all right, in real life. But if you had bad wine, good wine and good skin, this is what it is. You just changed from bad wine and bad skin, So this is a Mandela effect, where they've changed the word of the vessel, but it's still a vessel. So it's just very strange. This is just a very odd thing that I could share with you on this particular part of it. But again, they're looking at the vessel. They're looking at 5. 5 is the body. We are the vessel. We are the ship. And of course, it started off with 2, being that we are in, a duality. And the whole idea in this duality is to take you from the lower conscious to the higher conscious. That's it, all right? And that's as far as I've gotten on that, I wanted to do another story. I want to do something else and skip off to something more interesting. But right now, when it comes down to it, we are asked to separate from the world around us from time to time, to kind of like get a recharge of our batteries. And they very well can run off on their own, but it's this battery, this idea of being charged is a food, is considered a food. And we are taking in outside food every day, and if you're a religious person, you're taking inside food as well, and that's considered poison. All right. So other things would be like, if you believe in flat earth, You know, right now, not that it really matters. We could all go through life not knowing what our planet looked like, honest, you know. But if you want to drive point home and just go against all of what we've learned up until this point and say our world is flat, well, that's great, you know. I don't know what to say because, you know, I don't give a damn. As far as I'm concerned, we're on this little pink little flower at the end of an elephant's nose. I don't care. I'm Horton. Horton here's a who, you know. I'm one of the who's on the end of that. But this information that I'm talking to you and giving to you, this actually has a formula, and it's based on a round. It's based on a globe. It's based on something circular, and I don't think it needs to be spherical, but it's a northern hemisphere science. And because you're looking at the Earth in a certain way, and you know, and there's cardinal points, we're positioned in space. Certain things, they've got equinoxes and this and that. This helps to put us right in spot. It doesn't mean that we're just some piece of dust floating out there, you know, in the cosmos without a direction to go in. All right, we're headed east. We're in the start with we're spinning, and everything is going towards the east, whatever the east is out there. All right. But there is an up and down, believe it or not. Even when people are running around up there in space, I'm sure that they can be upside down, or they can be this or that, but they still have a north and a south and an east and a west. All of those, you know, and in between. But, so when they want to say, remember to feast, remember, you know, we're going to keep the feast, it's always this idea, you know, they go through all the works, get to that 5th place or sixth place, that place by the ocean, by the water, you know. This is where everything starts. This is where the smoke goes up, you know, and then the water parts, and then you're on your way to the promised land. But you gather everyone together and feed them. Remember the feeding of the, you know, of the 5,000, you know, this is or the 500 or however many that is. It's still just the 5, the feeding of the skin. That's what we're doing, feeding the skin. With spiritual food, when they tell us to toss our nets over to the right side of the boat, this is you know, bringing more intelligence into your life. This idea of bringing up 153 fish is really telling you about the truth, and so then you're full of the truth, so you can teach the truth. That should be pretty relevant here in on my channel. Because, you know, if I were truly putting out garbage, and lies, and confusion, and stuff like that, I might be most popular people on earth, you know, or in the YouTube business. But you'll find that that's not how it works, you know. You know, I was watching, you know, someone brought up to me how filthy children's shows are, the ones cartoons that are aimed at children. Just had to go and check them out. Pretty filthy. And my ad blocker was going crazy, so they get a lot of hits. Then the shit goes to show, you know, what kind of world are we coming into? You know, we just had the worst mass shooting in history, and it's all being hushed up and covered up. They must have done, they must have screwed something up, you know. So let's wash that away, you know. So we just get our, what happened to John F. Kennedy, that was only killing one guy, president, and they hid that for how many years? 60-something years, right? Here they've killed dozens, hundreds of people. When they're going to tell us the truth on that? When they're going to open up that story and tell us that was an inside job? But, you know, here you have Hollywood crumbling before our feet, you know, before our eyes. We're losing all of our role models, one ejaculation at a time. We have probably the lousiest media system going on in all our times, whereas they are literally giving us fake news, and just literally, wanting to grab you and pull you, come with us, come with us to the darkness, let's go into the valley together of darkness. And they are they want you to, if not, they're going to unleash their little media hounds. They're going to wreck the whole world. This is the kind of control that they think, just like those people over there in Hollywood. It's like, oh, we got more to say than this. But see, I'm just an artist, and look at what I'm pulling out, trying to save the world, and I'm just an artist. I should just be an artist and shut up. I'm not a theologian, Shit, you guys, the world's getting so much stupider, and it just, if you can't recognize that, and that's, wow, more power to you, If you can see that all this outside world is just, oh wow, that's really good, wow, that's some potent punch you're drinking. But anyways, it's not really all that hard, and God is not, it's being made out to be the devil, but he's not. It's all about love, and it's about restoration, being remembered. That means being restored, and it's a healthier side of life, and of course it's a healthier way of thinking, So, till I get to another part of this, I gotta go to work, you guys. I have to do something. But anyways, I just want to come in and say hi, you guys. I was disappointed, kind of, in the next readings, the ones that were for about 5, but not really, because it shows you about the vessel, it tells you about the body, it tells you about who we are. We are the vessel. We are this Christ. We are this image, and what I'm helping to reveal to you is that we're supposed to go and join up with that. Otherwise, the last few parts of our teaching is, you either have God in you or not. And whether I'm talking from the point of, well, I have him in me, well, we all have him in us. But have you gone through any of these procedures? Are you practicing that discipline, Because then what they tell you to do is that you just sit back and watch. And if good things happen in your life, then you become more, calmer and stuff like that. Things are good. But, but this idea of taking no thought does not mean that you don't care about things. The taking no thought is to close your mind off so that you can go in and get this help from higher conscious. That's all that is. And then you'll make a better decision on things. So it's not God doing it, but it's giving you access to something higher. That's all. So superstitions aside, all God wants from you is your attention. That's it. Doesn't want anything else. He wants you to come home, say hi to him, and he'll take over from there. All right? I love you. Take care of yourselves.